I'm just here to remind you that it doesn't matter what your brain is doing. It doesn't matter what you are experiencing, what feelings are arising, what emotions are unfolding. These are bodily reactions. These are natural, automatic responses or reactions to our reality. The brain has been trained to respond or react in these particular ways when there's chaos on the outside or there's challenges or problems on the outside. No matter what's happening in the world or outside of you, the body can do whatever it wants and just let it do whatever it wants. The challenge that we have is that we're not realizing that all of these bodily reactions, the electrical signals in the brain, the emotions, the hormones, are not who we really are. Right? It's an aspect of who we are, but it's not really who we are. We are much more vast than this human body, this human mind, human thinking, human emotions. And so when there's external challenges in the world, when there's external challenges in your relationships, in your family, at your work, when you're experiencing challenges with your own body, let it do what it will. Be a loving witness, seeing what you are experiencing, not judging it as good or bad, just is. You see, we don't have to try to stay in presence. We don't need to try and get somewhere or master our realities or master enlightenment or get somewhere. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to chase. There's nothing to become. The only thing that you need to do is remember that you are not the body and that you are not the mind. To remember that you are witness, that you are soul, that you are presence, that you are God, that you are isness, pure consciousness, Christ consciousness that can see all of this happening in ourselves and in the world. And so allow your feelings and emotions and your thoughts to play and do whatever they will. If you think what you're feeling and experiencing on the external, and this thing is making me react in a certain way, and you see that as something negative, your wish is my command. It's not negative, it's not positive. This person's arguing with you, or this person's challenging you, or this person's confronting you, or this person's treating you this way at work. How you perceive that, or how you judge that, or how you label that, or how you categorize that with the human mind is where the attachment comes in. And now we are coming out of presence into the third dimension or the 3D world. And I'm not saying to deny the 3D world. I'm not saying to deny what's happening. What's happening is happening, but it's just energy. And you have the capacity to realize that you are the witness. The body is going to react based on conditioning, and the body can do whatever it wants to do whilst you remain in presence. You can't not be presence. You can't not be the entire universe because everything is energy. You are connected to all that is, and you're never separate from all that is. And so if you're not separate, everything that's happening outside of you is you anyway. So there's nothing to be afraid of, even though the brain is reacting in fear. The brain is reacting in, this person shouldn't be treating me this way. The brain is reacting in, I wish things could be different. The brain is reacting in, there's a better way this could be done. But really, what's really happening, if we dive deep into it, is that you don't want to feel a certain way, which is why you are avoiding it. You are identifying with this situation or circumstance as being bad, and so you're experiencing it even more within your body, right? And so when we step back into the God frequency or presence and you start practicing that, and by the way, if you want to practice being present, I have a newsletter where I send out emails every day so that you can get stories and insights on how to continually practice presence and be able to be more in this God frequency. The link's in the description for that. But you understand what I mean, right? So if you're operating from presence and you are realizing that you are presence and there's no other thing apart from presence, everything can just dissolve itself. Everything can just do whatever it's going to do. And through practicing being in this high vibrational frequency, you see and experience more of what relates to being in that frequency. And I would go even far to say that the highest frequency is all frequencies. The highest frequency can let any other frequency be there. And it's not judging it as good or bad, because remember, it's Christ consciousness, it's pure consciousness, it's enlightenment, it's samadhi, it's isness. It's not judging it as good and bad. It's unconditional love. So it's not going to intervene. It's just going to witness and let whatever the world is going to do. But from that state of enlightenment or presence and practicing being there and seeing the thought and seeing the emotion, one person does it, amazing. 2 people do it, great. 3 people do it. The world begins to change as we begin practicing being in presence, because now what happens is we only experience source. We only experience truth. And just so you know, when I'm saying this, I'm not saying truth is good at all, because, there can be this implied narrative from the mind that says being in enlightenment is something good, or it's the highest thing that you can do, which somewhat it is. But you get what I mean, right? We are here learning law of attraction, manifesting spirituality, consciousness, awakening. And we're all here trying to raise our vibration. But from a place of isness or pure consciousness, there is no raising your vibration. You are all vibration, so you don't need to raise your vibration. You are the God frequency where you stand right now, despite what your thoughts and emotions are saying. Okay. And so lower emotions are keeping you down because you believe that they are lower emotions. If you see them as something negative and you see them as something bad and they shouldn't be there, guess what? Your wish is my command. You're carrying a chain on ball, right? You're allowing emotions to dictate your reality. You're allowing thought to dictate your reality. They're just thoughts. They're just emotions. We feel them very viscerally and we identify with them, but they are not who we really are. So they can just be there. And the more that you develop the power of them just being there, despite how big the emotion is, can you imagine and grasp how powerful you will become? Where big things that affect you now in life become small things. And not to minimize here, but your capacity to deal with situations and circumstances have increased dramatically because you're no longer majoring in the same things anymore. They're not majors. And so in terms of the 3D world, you're able to start that business. You're able to deal with all the clients. You're able to handle the money. You're able to create more success. You're able to create more prosperity because you've widened your net. You've widened your emotional capacity to deal with emotions. You've widened your consciousness to deal with your emotions, with your thoughts, with your challenges. So you can have a business and lose it overnight, like I have twice, and you just keep on going. You just keep on presenting your truth to the world, to God, or whatever it is you want to call it, right? So some people here watching these videos in my channel are completely new. Maybe you haven't heard me talk about this before, but I've been through some really challenging things. And so I'm not talking out of my arse here, right? I'm not just saying this stuff to say it. I'm saying it because I used to really struggle with my emotions, with my thoughts. I used to really struggle with the concepts and ideas that I had about myself. I grew up in the ghetto. I had a certain mindset from growing up in the ghetto, a certain way of thinking about money and success and people and my capacity to succeed and all of this stuff. And I had all of these limiting beliefs and ideas and concepts about reality itself. But not only that, I've been through trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma and experienced very traumatic situations. I've been manipulated. I've been ripped off for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. People have hurt me. I've been abused mentally, emotionally, physically, and sexually, even spiritually as well. And because of my capacity to be present, whatever shows up in life is just showing up in life. And I can remain in the present moment. I can come back to the now and allow the body to do whatever it wants to do. Now, as I've been practicing this more, right, and I was practicing being present more, guess what happened to these situations and toxicity and these mindsets and these beliefs and these ideas and concepts? They start to dissolve. Why? Because I'm not giving them any power. I'm not giving them any energy. I'm allowing them to just fade like clouds in the sky. And once you are able to do that, things become more clear. You become a pure consciousness or a purer consciousness. And the divine is not interrupted by the limited thought, mind, narrative, beliefs, ideas that are potentially holding you back. There are people in the world who have limiting beliefs. There are people in the world who have subconscious blocks. There are people in the world that have anxiety, that have these challenges, yet they're still able to manifest their reality. They're still able to get on and do things. We live in a complex reality, and we can say that there's these energies that are holding me back. I feel some sort of energy that's holding me back, and I feel like something's blocking me, or I have a limiting belief, or I'm procrastinating, or whatever it is. All of this is universe. All of this is God. All of this is not something that you have to fight against. All of this is not something that you have to resist against. All of this is not something that you have to push away, suppress, alter, change, or whatever it is. All of it is God, meaning all of it is you. Every single bit of it is you. You externalizing it, or us externalizing it and making it about something else immediately puts us into victim mentality. I'm a victim to my limiting beliefs. I'm a victim to my subconscious patterns. I'm a victim to my habits. I'm a victim to these energies and entities and forces outside of myself. I'm a victim to the government. I'm a victim, right? You cannot be a victim if you are presence. So your limiting beliefs, your traumas, your energies are just bodily functions and memories within the body. It's just stored energy. Allow it to be there, allow it to do whatever it will. And I can go as far to say, even if it's PTSD, right? Because I've experienced this myself. Right? It doesn't matter what the memory is or what the challenge is, right? Practicing this is very powerful and will transform your life. Do I still work on reprogramming the subconscious mind and shifting identities and all of this stuff for the mental level? Absolutely. I think it's very powerful when you can use techniques and strategies to heal trauma and release this stuff. And so there is that part and there is that aspect, and we can go in there and do stuff like this and work with your inner child and do the shadow work and do all this stuff. But again, we're dealing with the mind. We're dealing with the limited concept, and we're staying trapped in the matrix when we're identifying with these parts of us. And so I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is we can realize all of this is a lie. All of this is not the true story. All of it is narratives, beliefs, ideas, concepts, which are never true. Anything that the mind can fathom is always a lie. Anything that the mind can think is always a lie. It's never the truth. The only truth there is presence or love. It's the only truth that there is. Everything else outside of that is manufactured by ego perception. Me and you experience gravity differently. I know that sounds strange, but we do. Maybe you're a different height, right? Maybe you're a different weight. Maybe you have a certain balance to your body. Maybe you're a woman, right? You are going to experience gravity differently to me, period. Right? And so we're not going to experience gravity in the same way. However, there's only one presence, one consciousness, and we are all that which is. And so this is the one truth that we know for a fact. We know we're going to have a croaking experience. We know we're going to pass away. But we also know we are also presence. And so learning to come back to that, the core of who we are, activates, well, not activates, is realize that we are the God frequency or enlightenment, samadhi, isness, truth, and begin operating from that space and bringing God consciousness, pure consciousness to planet Earth, to your reality, to your world, despite what's happening, no matter what. Stay there, solid, grounded. I am presence. I am here. Don't let the world shake you. The world's going to do what it's going to do. But also the world is a reflection of who we are. And so stand firm in who you really are. Practice that. Right? Forget law of attraction and manifesting. Through presence, you will manifest because you're operating on the highest frequency. Right? You're operating on all that is, and nothing's disconnected from who you are. And so you are the goal. You are abundance into the goal. You are not lack into the goal. Okay, and I'm not saying there's something wrong with lack into the goal, by the way. It can work. But the reality is we are all seeking the same goal, which is to come back to presence. We're not seeking the goal. We're seeking to feel something from the goal. We're seeking to feel something from the goal. That's all that we can get from a goal. Money, success, whatever it is feelings and emotions and the things that we can buy and experiences and something. It makes us feel a certain way. That's all we can go for, is feelings and emotions. It's not really the material thing that we want to manifest, right? So in coming back to presence and realizing you are all the feelings, you are all the emotions, you are all the things that you want to manifest, it brings you back to your truth. See you in the next one. Join the newsletter. The link's in the description. All right. Peace. Much love.